HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
Hey, and welcome to the Food Scene on heritageradionetwork.org. I'm your host, Michael Harlan Turkel, and it is Saturday, May 18th, 2019, and we're taping from Santa Fe, New Mexico at the IACP Annual Conference. Today's guest is Annamaria Brezna from Dolina Bakery and Cafe, which is literally around the corner on Guadalupe Street. When you walk in, it is just a wonderful place, bustling with cheer, and it's so vibrant, and the walls are painted white. It has this brightness, this levity to it. When I first walked in, I saw Annamaria. She came around the counter and gave me a huge hug, and that warmth and affection extends itself into everything that she touches. She's an immigrant from Slovakia, but somehow found home in Santa Fe. But we're going to start this episode with a geography lesson. Where in the world is Slovakia?
Slovakia is centrally located country in the middle of Europe, and it's surrounded by Austria, Hungary, Ukraine, and bordering with Poland on the north side, and Czech Republic. I guess I still think of Slovakia as Czechoslovakia because I grew up in that country. So to say it's bordering with Czech Republic, it's, you know.
So there were pamphlets in Slovakia about summer camp in the Poconos. Like, how did you ever take that leap of faith to move to the States and go to that specific place?
I wanted to learn a language, and I tried French, and it just didn't roll off my tongue. So I said, okay, I'll try English. And at our university, there was, they were recruiting students to come to United States for the summer, and I thought I'll take advantage of it and try it out.
Give me your first impressions of summer camp. It was Camp Canadensis.
Canadensis.
Tell me about the camp and what your role was there.
So the camp was really large. It had a lot of kids from New York City that would come for the whole summer. So they were there for 8 weeks straight, which is amazing to me, but also a beautiful place to escape the city, so I can understand how they wanted to be there instead of, Manhattan.
Can you explain to me what you were doing at that camp?
I was baking. It didn't start like baking. I went to work in the kitchen because I didn't speak English well. So I was doing all the prep, all the cutting. My knife skills aren't so good. Can I just say that? So one of the main chefs took liking to me and asked me if I wanted to bake. And I took that job, which made my life much easier.
And what did you bake at that summer camp?
All the birthday cakes. I made all the birthday cakes, and then I scooped pudding out of a can.
Well, that is a heck of an advertisement. And what kind of birthday cakes were they? Were they from scratch?
No, they were pre-mixed dry ingredients that I would mix with butter and milk or buttermilk and put into forms. The icing came in piping bags, so I just took a liking in decorating.
I could see you at the beginning of camp being very excited about doing something like that, and then throughout the sessions being like, "Happy birthday, Brian," handing that cake over, and everyone's like, "The Slovakian chef, she's very, very mean." Just because you had to deal with cake mixes for a whole summer.
It was okay. It was okay. I liked it, and it gave me a flexible schedule, and I could go for a run on the trail when I was done. So yeah, it was fine.
So what did this make you think of the American baking acumen? Did you think that, everything came out of a box? Was that impressive to you? Was it not?
It wasn't impressive to me at all. It wasn't, I thought that the camp was very well organized, and maybe that was the part of it, is just making it easier for everyone. But then I realized later on that a lot of baking happens that way here, unfortunately, and that's not something I grew up with. So I quickly kind of started going back to the recipes that I was used to.
And what were those recipes you were used to?
Strudel, yeasty, a lot of yeasty dough filled with different things that you would actually have to wait for a couple hours till it rises, and then roll it out, fill it up, and bake it slowly. Kind of a little more complex recipes, but so rewarding and not as sweet. Can we talk about the sweetness? Not as sweet. Everything that I grew up with it's more about flavor of other ingredients, like poppy seeds or plums or cheese that's a probiotic cheese, tvaroh, and a little bit of sweetness is added to it, but it's definitely not as sweet as cakes that kids grow up here with.
So the Poconos was a very distinct place for you to be in, but you've let Felicity kind of dictate the fate of your life quite a bit, in that you ended up here in Santa Fe because you overheard about it from a random Texan while you were in Florida. Can you explain that?
Yes, so I moved down to Florida to visit some friends. There were a lot of, a lot. I would say about 6 friends from back home, and it was just nice to go and visit them and speak the language and kind of see familiar faces after a while of traveling around the United States. And I ended up staying there for about 3 or 4 months. And, Florida is beautiful. It has beautiful beaches, but I always missed mountains, and, I love hiking and outdoors, and it just wasn't my kind of place. Got tired of the beach pretty quickly. So I was explaining it to a friend standing next to me, and there was a woman, Nancy was her name. I still remember her name. And she said, after I explained what I was looking for, she said, go to Santa Fe. And I said, where is that? And she told me a story about driving from Dallas with her girls to California, and their car broke down in Santa Fe, and they were forced to stay here for a week because they had to order a part for their car. And she said it was the most beautiful experience. She didn't even want to continue to California. She just wanted to stay here and go back to Dallas afterwards. So I went home and I researched it online, saw a few photos of what Santa Fe landscape looks like, and then I started seeing it everywhere. I went to a grocery store, and there was an outside magazine, and it had a picture of White Sands. Someone was camping in White Sands, and the beautiful sky full of stars. And, all of these little things started coming around, and I just packed my things and left. 33 hours of drive straight through Louisiana and Texas, and I came here 6 o'clock in the morning and crashed in nearest hotel for 13 hours, and I woke up in the morning and I absolutely fell in love with it.
Did you get to ask along the way, do you know the song, Do You Know the Way to Santa Fe?
No.
So, anybody else know this, or am I making this up? Okay. Because in the cab ride down from Albuquerque, that's why the guy in the cab was like, what are you talking about? I'm taking you there right now. All right, so I'm terrible with lyrics. So we're going to move on from that, because Santa Fe seems to be this magical place. This is my first time here. My brother-in-law is from Las Cruces. This is always talked about the green chilies, but the air here. There's such levity. There's such lightness. Did you feel that? Did you feel that breath, that sigh of relief once you found a place to now call home?
Absolutely. There's something very calming about Santa Fe. It's not only a place where you can drive without traffic, it's a place where you can break away from work, and in 10 minutes you're at the most beautiful hiking trail and mountains, and you can just, leave all your worries up there. It's a place that is eclectic with full of different food and special people. It attracts a lot of artists and cultures, and for how small it is, it has so much to offer. And I really love the mentality of people here. Everyone is really nice to each other. And it's almost, when you get used to it and you travel somewhere else, you have to kind of adjust a little bit and realize that maybe people don't open doors for each other everywhere, or maybe they don't notice each other as much as we do here, And I think that's a huge beauty of this town.
Did you find that similar kind of kindness in food, the cuisine of Santa Fe, or maybe the restaurants here?
Absolutely. And what I found also that as many restaurants as we have, it's not very competitive. It's more supportive of each other, which is really beautiful. Chefs have their back and like to socialize and compare and work together, which is really beautiful.
Can you tell me about Cafe Fina and why you opened it and what the food was like there?
Okay. Cafe Fina I opened with my ex-husband, and it was our first together kind of endeavor after we had our children. And, they were really young when we were opening it, about 5 and 3, which is, a fun age, but you constantly have to run after them. So it was quite a challenge. The space came out because a friend of ours was closing the restaurant that they opened together, and it was perfectly ready to go. And we heard about it and jumped on it as soon as we could. We called them and we said, we want to take over your space. So they became our landlords, and we just went in and quickly cleaned up the space. And my ex-husband had a restaurant before, so he kind of had a concept in mind that he wanted to do. And he was trying to talk me into doing dinner service. And I said, there's no way, not with our children. We can do breakfast and lunch, close at 3:30, and have a life afterwards. Which, even if you close the door at 3:30, you're not out of there until 5 or 6. But, it was a perfect schedule for all of us.
And you're there that much earlier because you were baking. So you had a lot of American pies on that menu.
Yeah.
And I have a little arrow pointing to Texas kolaches, because there's a connection between what American pies are and what kolaches are in Slovakian culture. Can you talk about what that bridge might be?
Yeah, so kolache are, traditionally in Slovakia, anything that's baked, that's sweet, you would call kolache. But when it translates to bringing it to a different culture, kolache are round cakes that are made out of yeasty dough, and they're topped with all 3 of our favorite toppings, which is tvaroh, probiotic cheese mixed with sugar, ground poppy seeds, and lekvar, which is a preserves made out of plums. And in Texas, there along the small road to Dallas, there are small towns that are known for their kolache little shops. I guess there was a big Slovakian community that moved and worked in different mines and things. So they kind of carry the culture on through the food. So we had a lot of people requesting kolache. In my opinion, kolache are best straight out of the oven. So, I would often make them and just give them away, because I couldn't wait till they get cold and see if someone buys them. I wanted them to be consumed while they're really good. So, sometimes that's better than waiting for someone to buy them off the shelf.
But this cheese, can you pronounce it again for me?
Tvaroh.
This is something that makes your baking distinctly different than an American pie, in that, yes, we have cheesecakes, but we usually don't mix fruit and cheese as much in a pie. What does that combination taste like? What does it bring you back to?
Tvaroh is like nothing else. I tried to substitute it. First time when I moved to United States, I tried to substitute for ricotta or some other cheeses that are used in other cultures in baking, but it's not the same. Tvaroh is very much sour in flavor, and it's very satisfying because it's sour, and you can add just a little bit of powdered sugar to it and a dash of vanilla, and it's the best thing in the world. As a child, I used to eat it as a TV snack. I would put it in a bowl and mix it with sugar and just eat it all up without anything else. It's essentially a milk that's left at room temperature for 2 to 3 days, and then it's cooked very much like paneer in Indian cuisine, where you can just bring it under boiling temperature and do a little squeeze of lemon and strain it through a cheesecloth. But it's sour and super delicious.
This powdered sugar thing with cheese, we were talking about this before, and I was wondering why not granulated sugar? What is the reason behind powdered?
Well, powdered sugar we use for a lot of toppings, and I think that just by itself, if you take a bite of whatever you put it on, it doesn't have that crunch in your teeth. And usually it's topped with melted butter, so it melts into a sauce instead of being crunchy. It's a different texture, and I think it melts well into the cheese or anything that you put it in.
Now, with these explanations, who's going to Dolina Bakery tomorrow morning? Yes, okay, I'll see you all there. Let's talk about Dolina, because walking in there, it is so bright and welcoming and warm. The walls are painted white. It was bustling today during, let's call it brunch. It's kind of a hybrid. I don't feel like it is brunch because you get a certain kind of menu for that, and you get a very different experience going to Dolina. I cannot pronounce this, but there is this nut roll in the pastry case, and the second I saw it, it reminded me of the Romanian bread my grandma used to make. What's it called, and what do you use it for?
It's called orechovnik, and we have that bread in every culture in Europe. I believe in Slovenia they call it povitica, and you can make it with different flavors. In Slovakia, the most common flavors are orechovnik, which is made with walnuts and cinnamon, and then we also make makovnik, which is made with ground poppy seeds and some grated apple in it. It's really good. Just a simple yeasty dough rolled with the topping. We actually make our French toast out of it, which is one of my favorite items on the menu, with warm blueberries and maple syrup on top. So, I take the Slovakian cooking and then turn it into an American comfort food, and it just seems to blend so well together.
But I don't think strudel is an American comfort food, or at least
it's becoming now.
Yeah, or at least because of you. But the density of poppy seeds that you have in yours, I had said this to someone before, and I passed this by you. This is not an insult at all, but the poppies taste like shoe polish and unlit cigars in a good way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the earthiness in poppy seeds, and I think that's why I have a hard time with kind of traditional American cakes, because I that's what I miss. It needs to have kind of a third dimension than just sugar, and poppy seeds do it for me. It's earthy flavor that is unlike anything else.
You find this in a couple of your other cakes and pies. There's one called Macos Dios, which I have to say, Dios. I mean, this was one of the greatest gluten-free experiences of my life. But it has poppy seeds, walnuts, raspberry preserves. Mm-hmm. What is that cake, and why is it displayed at your restaurant?
So this cake isn't traditionally Slovakian cake. I actually ran into this recipe in the Bay Area. There's an Eastern European bakery in Berkeley called Kriksa. And I was told by a friend of mine who's gluten-free that I need to go there and try this cake. And so it's a Hungarian cake, Makos Diós. Makos means poppy seeds, Diós is walnuts, I believe. And it's exactly what it is, what it consists of. It's half poppy seeds, half walnuts, just mixed with some butter, powdered sugar, a little bit of lemon zest, some eggs, and baked off. And it's the most delicious thing. And this friend of mine, actually, because she wanted us to have it on the menu at Dolina, she came and bought us this very expensive poppy seed grinder that I couldn't afford right off the bat. But she wanted it so much that she gave me this grinder as a housewarming gift, so I could start making it.
There's a couple other Hungarian pastries or cakes in there. There's one called Dobos Tort, which I love, this sponge cake that's layered with bittersweet chocolate buttercream. Do you traditionally do Slovakian, Hungarian, or is it a great place to stop by and have a breakfast burrito?
All of the above, I think. I didn't realize how many recipes of my childhood were Hungarian until I started cooking and exploring the heritage of the foods, where they came from. I always thought that dobos was Slovakian and so was langos, until I posted it on Facebook and said it's a Slovakian street food, and someone said, that is so not Slovakian. This is from Hungary. And I said, well, I made it the Slovakian way.
Well, Dolina, Slovakian, Hungarian, whatever it is very much Annamaria. And
Yes.
please go visit her tomorrow. Thank you so much for being on the food scene.